All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Housing Assistance Services webinar. We will be speaking about home modifications and reasonable accommodations. Today, Michelle Jimenez, who is a housing advocate at ADAPT Community Network, will be doing one presentation with me. And my name is Terry Wong. I am the director of Doorways to Independence program. Let me tell you a little bit about ADAPT Community Network. We're an agency which is for human service, not for profit. We provide cutting edge programs and services for people with disabilities. We build a more inclusive world for thousands of New Yorkers through education, technology, health, residential, and recreational programs in all 5 boroughs. Our mission is to empower people through innovative solutions, one person at a time. We're also, we participate in CARF and also CQL, and as you can see, others. Michelle is the housing advocate who is presenting today. She will be speaking about housing assistance services. Ready, Michelle?
Yeah, I'm ready. Good morning, everybody. My name is Michelle Jimenez Alvarez, and as Terry mentioned, I'm one of the housing advocates that works for the Housing Assistance Program here in ADAPT Community Network. So I'm gonna be speaking a little bit about our Housing Assistance Program and what we do to assist our families. So your home is your safe place. ADAPT Community Network Housing Assistance Program helps families with a household member with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities navigate the New York City fast housing system. HAS offers advocacy support, information, and referrals for families seeking assistance with housing concerns. I just wanted to mention before we move forward, if you have questions and you can please add them to the chat, and we will be happy to answer any questions you have at the end of our presentation. So how do we get started with this process? As I mentioned, someone who is eligible to be in our program is any family living in New York City with a household member who is OPWD eligible. How to get started. Complete and submit a HAS application and a life plan. A request to open a case is submitted to the Developmental Disability Region Office, the DDRO, by the program. The DDRO sends approval email to HAS. A housing advocate is assigned to a family. Please note that we do not have rentals, apartments, nor we provide any financial assistance in the program. Program services. So as I mentioned before, we have housing advocates. Each family is assigned a housing advocate who works with the family to meet their housing needs. Housing advocates provide information, advocacy, resources, and act as liaisons to outside agencies. Housing webinars. Free webinars converting a multitude of housing-related topics offering to the public on a quarterly basis. Housing newsletter, free newsletter featuring articles discussing housing resources and featuring a HAS family story. Bilingual staff, we have Spanish-speaking staff available and use of language line for additional translation services. I'm going to speak up.
Go ahead.
No, I'm going to speak about reasonable accommodations versus modifications. Reasonable accommodation. So we have a definition. A reasonable accommodation is a change, exception, or adjustment to a rule, policy, practice, or service. The purpose is to ensure that individuals with disabilities have an equal opportunity to use and enjoy a dwelling, including public and common use spaces. Applicability. Reasonable accommodations are typically requested by tenants or applicants with disabilities. Example, installing a ramp for a wheelchair user, allowing a service animal in a non-pet building, providing accessible parking spaces. The process. The individual with a disability requests the accommodation. The landlord evaluates the request based on the nexus between the accommodation and the disability. And an interactive process determines the feasibility of the accommodation. If it's reasonable, the accommodation is implemented. I can give you a brief example. A case that I have am currently working with in the Bronx, where the family has requested our assistance to do a ramp outside the building, as my individual needs a ramp to go inside of the building. So at this moment, we have contacted the landlord. The landlord has requested the city to go and do an inspection on the building to see if the request can be done. So we are working in the process to see when the city will approve, and if it's reasonable, the accommodation will be implemented in the building. Modification. The definition of a modification involves making a structure change to the physical premises. The purpose. It alters the physical environment to accommodate a person. Oh, I can't see the slide. You moved it.
I moved it.
Yeah, oh, you moved it again. Yeah, you move it with your hand. I'm sorry.
I don't understand. So where were your purpose?
I'm okay, yeah. The purpose is to alter the physical environment to accommodate a person with a disability. Applicability. Oh, no. Modifications are typically requested by tenants or homeowners with disabilities. Examples: widening doorways to accommodate a wheelchair, lowering countertops for easier access, installing grab bars, in bathrooms. Process. The individual with a disability requests a structural change. The landlord or homeowner assesses the feasibility and cost. If reasonable, the modification is implemented. The key difference: accommodation focuses on policy adjustments or service provision. Modification involves physical alterations to the property.
Okay. All right. Please remember that both reasonable accommodations and modifications are essential for ensuring equal access and opportunities for individuals with disabilities in housing. If you encounter a specific situation, consult legal aid organizations or housing agencies for guidance.
Requesting a reasonable accommodation or modification. Contact your local property management office. Print and complete the appropriate forms for your situation, tenant or applicant. Submit the forms to your local property management office. If not formal forms, request in writing. For NYCHA tenants, for forms for current tenants, transfer request. There's one for reasonable accommodation, modification request. There is another form for medical verification request, and there's another separate one for tenant request for transfer. Forms for current applicants, reasonable accommodation, Medicaid, medical verification letter. If you have any questions or concerns, you can email the Public Housing Reasonable Accommodations Coordinator at the request@nycha.nyc.gov. Now we're going to talk about fair housing laws. Fair housing laws in New York. The Fair Housing Act, FHA, in New York State human rights law applies to nearly all multi-unit residential rental properties in the state. New York City human rights law also covers almost all residential rental properties within New York City. If a property receives certain types of federal funding, the Americans with Disability Act and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act may impose additional requirements for persons with disabilities. Protected characteristics. FHA prohibits discrimination based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, including gender identity and sexual orientation, familiar status, and disability. The New York State and New York City human rights laws extend protection to other bases such as lawful source of income, military status, age, and marital status. Discrimination includes refusing to rent to or imposing different rent terms to an applicant or tenant based on a protected characteristic. Disability discrimination also involves the failure to make a reasonable accommodation for a person with a disability. Defining disability. The definition varies slightly depending on the law. Generally, disability means any physical, medical, mental, or physical impairment or a history or record of such impairment. It passes both physical and mental conditions.
A little note, reasonable accommodations and modifications are essential for ensuring equal access and opportunity for individuals with disabilities in housing. That is why they are covered under fair housing laws.
Can landlords refuse Landlords cannot refuse modifications requested by tenants with disabilities with a valid reason. However, there are specific considerations. Reasonable accommodations. Landlords must provide reasonable accommodations to ensure equal access for individuals with disabilities. Refusing an accommodation without a valid reason could violate fair housing laws. Valid reasons might include undue financial burden or fundamental alteration of the property. Modifications. Landlords cannot outright refuse modifications, but they can access feasibility and cost. If a modification poses an undue burden, landlords may discuss alternatives with the tenant. Landlords can require tenants to restore the property to its original condition upon lease termination. Legal consultation. Tenants should seek legal advice if landlords unreasonably deny modifications. Consult local housing agencies or legal aid organizations for guidance. Remember that fair housing laws protect tenants with disabilities, and landlords must engage in an interactive process to evaluate accommodations requests. You were denied. Now what? Review the denial reason. Understand the specific reason for the denial. Did the landlord provide a valid explanation based on undue burden or fundamental alteration of the property? Seek legal advice. Consult with a housing attorney or a legal aid organization specializing in housing rights. They can access whether the denial was lawful and guide you on next steps. Document everything. Keep a record of all communications related to the accommodations request. Note dates, times, and details of conversations or written exchanges. Also, I want to add here, you should always write down the names of the persons that you're speaking with. Request mediation. Some jurisdictions offer mediation services to resolve disputes between tenants and landlords. Mediation can help find a mutually agreeable solution. File a complaint. If the denial appears discriminatory or unlawful, consider filing a complaint with the relevant fair housing agency. In New York City, you may contact the New York City Commission of Human Rights. Reasonable alternatives. Propose alternative accommodations that may address the same need without imposing an undue burden. For example, if the request ramp is not feasible, suggest an alternative route or assistance.
A little note, please remember that fair housing laws protect your rights as tenant with a disability. You can seek professional advice to navigate the situation effectively. Also, building policy can be different from landlord to landlord. So you would need to check with your landlord or management office regarding their process for requesting accommodations. We will be going into the next slide, which will speak about home modification services. If there are any questions, please put information in the chat and we will speak about it after the presentation. Thank you. So Our next slides will be about Doorways to Independence program. My name is Terry Wong, and I'm the director of Doorways to Independence. The Doorways to Independence program is a home modification and repairs program. We provide home modification services to people with disabilities, the elderly, and the medically frail. We also cover the cost of modification that will improve physical access and safety within the home. Homeowners, co-op owners, and renters may qualify for the assistance. There are 3 funding sources. One is from OPWDD. We have a OPWDD Family Support Services grant. We are able to assist people who are diagnosed with developmental disabilities and people who are living at home. The other funding source is through Access to Home for Medicaid members. It is from New York State Divisions of Homes and Community Renewal. It's a program that subsidizes home modifications for low-income families facing accessibility issues. The third funding source is called Restore. It's called Residential Emergency Services to offer home repairs to the elderly. So I call it Restore, a lot easier. It is from New York State Divisions of Homes and Community Renewal. It's a program that subsidizes emergency home repair to assist senior citizen homeowners. This slide, we're going to speak about OPWDD Family Support Services Grant. This service is available in Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, and Staten Island. The applicant must reside with the family, and homeowners and renters may qualify for the assistance. The applicant must be diagnosed with developmental disability and be approved through OPWDD. There is no income requirement to qualify for this assistance. So if any of the members or the applicants have self-direction, they will need to have a budget for home modifications and repairs under Family Support Services. And the budget's requirements differ per each borough. The Access to Home for Medicaid members grant is through New York State's Homes and Community Renewal, and we provide service in all 5 boroughs. The applicant can be living at home with family or independently. The homeowners or renters may qualify for assistance. The applicant must have a permanent physical disability or have difficulty with activities of daily living. So there's no age limit, and OPWDD eligibility is not required. This means that if my mother needs modification, then I can apply. She's not with OPWDD. She is older, and she's having difficulty with her activities of daily living. There is an income eligibility that's required, and the allocation of funds may vary. And the project cap is about $25,000. The third grant that we have is called Restore. This service is available in all 5 boroughs. The applicant must be 60 years old or older and is also named on the deed. The applicant must own and occupy as primary residence the unit or the property that requires emergency repair. there is an income eligibility that is required, and the allocation of funds may vary. However, the project cap is about $20,000. These are some typical repairs that are eligible under Restore program. They're included, but they're not limited to what is shown on the chart. We assist with the structural issues, or we can repair or replace a damaged or leaking roof. We also provide accessibility modification. We can do mold remediation. We can fix exterior doors or replace if it's broken. We can repair the interior or exterior stairs if it is broken or deteriorated. And we can also do electrical repairs or upgrades to remove hazards. We can also repair or replace failed HVAC systems. Please keep in mind, it's not limited to what is stated. And basically, if we're not sure, we will ask the funding source. So we provide full project coordination. As you can see, there we go. So first step of the project coordination is applications and documents are reviewed. Your name is put on the wait list. And based on need, availability of funds, and in order of date received, the applicant is selected for further review. Once you're chosen for the review, your home assessment is completed and scope of work is written. So once an applicant is chosen, I would send someone to the house to do a home assessment. And that person will write a scope of work, which means the itemized information of what needs to be done within the house to make accessibility possible or repairs. The program manager and the family will decide on one project to complete. The program manager is me, and I would call the family, and we will talk about all the different things that the person may need, and then we decide which one we're going to work on. Once we make a decision, contractors are sent to the home. We choose the vendor with the lowest bid. So once I have all the information, I would submit all the information to the funding agency. Once it is approved by the funding agency, contracts are signed and deposits are sent to the chosen vendor, and the project starts. As a program manager, I will monitor everything that is happening from start to finish. So I will be monitoring the full project process. These are some of the types of modifications that we do. Even though I will be showing you some slides following, wanted to show you that we do durable medical equipment, fences, steps, stairs. We do provide ramps and stair lifts, also light alerts and alarms for the doorway. for people who would like to go out into the community but is not capable, well, who needs assistance. We will provide alarms for the doorway, light alerts for people who is hard of hearing but can see, would use light alerts for emergencies purposes. We provide ceiling lifts, door openers, grab bars and handrails for stairs, and in the bathroom, and roll-in and walk-in showers. So let me show you some examples in the coming slides. So this is a ramp. The ramps are modular and they have interchangeable parts and are considered temporary. So the ramps can cost from $2,000 to $9,000 depending on the parts and the length of the ramp. We would install ramps that meet ADA guidelines. This means that for each inch in height of steps, we provide 1 foot of ramp. For example, if you have 1 steps in front of your house and you need a ramp because you're in a wheelchair, you will need about 7 feet of ramp. So as you can see in the photo, the before photo, that is a portable ramp the family has been using. It is short and it is steep. So we provided a ramp that was a little bit longer. As you can see in the photo that, let me show you. Right here. And then we provided a turn from where this was, and we came down to the side. And then for people who do not need a ramp, we provided a stairs. Stair lift. A stair lift can be straight or curved. The chair will glide up and down the rail. Let me show you. The stair lift comes with a standard seat belt. As you can see in this photo, there's a seat belt. This is standard. We can also provide a harness for support if needed. So harness is, even though you'll have this, the harness will be like a 5-point harness that you may have it for children. We can provide that. And we can also provide ankle straps for support if needed. So there are some individuals who may extend their legs when they're seated. So an ankle strap may assist the person sitting up properly. So the Department of Buildings require that a safety inspection is completed each year, and the family is responsible for maintenance and repairs. Right, ceiling lift. I wanted to show you 2 types, a standard ceiling lift and a portable ceiling lift. The ceiling lift is used to assist a person to be lifted to be transferred to another area using a sling seat. This is a sling seat, and that's attached to the bar. There's a bar over here. And then you would be able to transfer the person from a bed to a wheelchair or from the wheelchair to the bed. The lift motor is controlled with the remote. So this is similar to a Hoyer lift if you have one, but this is attached to a ceiling. This is what you consider a standard ceiling lift. There's a motor here that would assist this handle to come up and down. This is a sample of a portable ceiling lift. And basically, this little device, the handle, will allow you to take this to another room if you have another ceiling lift like this and attach it there. So you can use it in another room. This is a sample of a vertical platform lift. We provide limited number of vertical platform lift through the Access to Home for Medicaid members grant, because the price range is from $20,000 to $25,000 and up. And permit is always required before any installing of a vertical platform lift. The Department of Buildings require that an inspection is completed each year, and family needs to keep records. So this is a photo of the vertical platform lift on the ground. And then once it is lifted, for example, this is on a porch that we provided for someone. So this is where the door opens. And as you can see, he is in the vertical lift, ready to go down. We also provide roll-in shower or walk-in shower with grab bars. So this is a sample of a roll-in shower. It's usually provided for a person who needs barrier-free bathroom. We also install grab bars to provide support if they're able to stand up. A walk-in shower is right here. This was the best photo I could get. We provide walk-in shower as well. Keep in mind that bathroom modification takes about 2 to 3 weeks from start to finish. So you will have to figure out where you can go and take a shower during this process. We also provide repairing of steps, and we can also add rails. As you can see in this before photo, the steps were round, and the person who had this home was falling constantly and hurting himself. So we provided a straight steps, and also it was a little bit lower than standard because he had difficulty lifting his legs. And we also provided rails. For this home, even though the steps were beautiful and the landing was beautiful, it needed rails because the person who lived in this home needed to grab onto something when they were walking up and down the step. So this was provided. For people who are with OPWDD, we provide durable medical equipment. The durable medical equipment can be provided through Family Support Services grant that we have. Any durable medical equipment request should be submitted to Medicaid, Medicare, or personal insurance first. And the last submission should be Medicaid. If the Medicaid submission is denied, ADAPT can assist depending on the availability of funds. A Medicaid denial letter and a copy of the justification letter written by an occupational therapist or a physical therapist should be submitted with the application. A Medicaid denial letter is always needed for OPWDD, and justification letter is required because I need to know exactly what you're asking for. If you're asking for a stroller or an activity chair, I need to know the size, the height, the weight of the person so that it is strong enough or to hold the weight, and other parts that the person may need. These are some samples of durable medical equipment. We have provided activity chairs and strollers. These have been the most requests that we received so far. standard wheelchairs, we do provide that, but I ask you to go through Medicare or Medicaid first, as well as the commode and the special needs shower chair. If they cannot provide it, then we will see what happens, because it depends on the amount of money that I have left to assist you through OPWDD grants. There's another option. If you are with OPWDD, you can also apply to assistive technology, environmental modification, and vehicle modification with OPWDD. Most people call this program EMODS program. This request can be requested through the OPWDD comprehensive waiver. The individual, the family, and the caregiver can decide which modification is needed. The care manager will reach out to OPWDD using the link below. So this is the link. This link on the OPWDD website will give you the guidelines. And also, once you make a decision, you would send the request to the mailbox. So once the care manager reaches out to OPWDD using the link, if they will learn how to, what the process is, they will receive the applications to start the process. Once everything is done by the care manager and it's submitted, if OPWDD approves the service request, the care manager will work with OPWDD regional office to assist with the rest of the process to get what is needed. I wanted to share with you some additional services at ADAPT Community Network. We provide day hab programs, day rehabilitation programs. We provide year-round programs for adults 21 and up. The program focuses on individual needs and interests. Community-based inclusion is a focus of the program. We also provide rental subsidy program, which was known as ISS subsidy. It supports income eligible individuals with developmental disabilities who choose to live in their communities. These individuals must be financially and legally responsible for their housing unit as a responsible tenant. We also provide supported employment that provides support and training for those wishing to work. We have a community rehabilitation program, which provides services to people of all ages who are looking to improve their independence in the community and at home. It offers an individualized approach with one-to-one staffing to help people achieve their self-determined goals. We also have a residential program. It is a community living options in a group and small settings. We also have a clinic, and that offers a broad spectrum of healthcare services to individuals with disabilities. Few more services that are that. We do have a preschool program. We offer year-round preschool programs with comprehensive educational and therapeutic programs serving children's age 3 to 5 with physical and or developmental disabilities. The school age program that we have is located in Brooklyn. We provide school age education for children and adolescents between the ages of 5 and 21 with severely physical disabilities and unique educational and therapeutic and medical needs. There is a Saturday recreation program, which is a supplemental program for ages 13 to 29. For those people who need respite, We provide overnight respite programs for ages 3 and up. We also have a program called Family Connect. Family Connect provides workshops and educational resources for New York City parents and professionals. And lastly, family reimbursement. We are able to provide funds to the families of individuals who are OPWDD eligible and live at home with family. They cover the cost of goods and services that are not obtainable through other sources. So Project Connect is your information and referral source for assistance and support accessing services at ADAPT Community Network. Our experts provide information and referral services to organizations outside of ADAPT that serve individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities throughout the 5 boroughs. If we're not able to assist you, Project Connect is available 5 days a week to answer all your inquiries. You can call them, as you can see the phone number, and you can email them. It's Project Connect at ADAPT Community Network. So, sorry.
I wanted to mention that I added the information for Project Connect in our chat. If anyone wants to, save the information. It's in English and Spanish.
Thank you. So if you keep in mind that Project Connect is like our 911 for ADAPT and other services within New York City, that's the number to call. Project Connect at adaptcommunitynetwork.org is the email. Thank you. I am going to stop sharing and we will go into chat and see if there are any questions, or you can open your mic and ask questions if there are any.
There are no questions at the moment at the chat.
Okay. All right. This was the end of our presentation. So if there are any questions, you may raise your hand or.
Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Crystal.
I wasn't able to join at the beginning of your presentation due to a scheduled meeting that I had. It ended early, and I was very interested to see your presentation.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Would it be possible to get a copy of the presentation to share with the other FSS coordinators in my unit at OPW?
Definitely. Wendy is recording the presentation. And once done, I believe she will be sharing with everyone.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, I think then this is the end of our presentations. And thank you for joining us. And if there are any questions.
Wait, there's a question in the chat.
Okay.
Will you be able to provide housing advice to an epileptic who is able to work? You may contact us for further information so we can discuss a little more. Like as we mentioned at the beginning of our presentation, we serve individuals that have eligibility with OPWDD, but we certainly can give you resources and advice on how to proceed with housing if you don't have the eligibility. So you can contact Project Connect and they will contact us.
So,
Uh, I'm sorry. go ahead.
so it's Project Connect at adaptcommunitynetwork.org.
There's another question on the chat. I'm sorry. This says, where do we find the applications for these programs?
Oh, good question. Project Connect, when you call or email Project Connect, they will connect you to either Michelle, Wendy, and myself, and we will send you the application. For home modification and repairs, I do not send out application until I speak to you first, because I don't know which funding source I can use for you. We may be able to use Family Support Services grant or the Access to Home grant, or even the Restore, depending on your age and where you live and who owns the home. So for Family Support Services grant, we do have, if I do not have enough money for that year, new fiscal year starts in July. So we can start as of July with that. So there won't be a wait list. It'll start in July if I don't have enough money for you before July. That makes sense, right? And for Access to Home, I do have a wait list because we just received a grant and I'm assisting people who were on the previous wait list. So it's always first come, first serve. And if you're eligible for the grant, and it is income eligibility and also for the Restore as well. I have gotten lots of applications for Restore. So if you send me an application, you will be on the wait list. So if you call Project Connect, they will connect you to me, and then we have a conversation. So actually, I can share my phone number on the chat. And here also, my number is 718-594-7374. So if you call me, we can have a conversation and we talk about what is needed and what is actually possible. And then we'll go from there. And I can let you know which application you will need and I'll send it to you.
I am also going to share the website for our agency. There's information there, I believe, as well. And they do have some applications there that you can download. But as Terry mentioned, the best way to contact us and obtain applications and information is Project Connect.
Okay, so I'm putting in my phone number on the chat. Okay. Please repeat the phone number. Okay, I just put it on the chat.
Yeah, I think that was your number.
So please call me. If I don't get to you one day, I will call you the next day, unless it's a weekend. So any other questions? Okay, I think we are finished with the webinar. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you everybody for attending.
Yes, and have a good day. Bye-bye.